and welcome to Tech presented by KYZEN, where we will explore common cleaning questions and answers. Let's get started. I would like to introduce KYZEN's own Kevin Buckner.
Thank you, William, and welcome to Tech. Name is Kevin Buckner. I do cover the Southwest area for KYZEN. And today I thought I would do a presentation on how do I know when to change out my bath. Well, really what that's about is understanding my wash bath, right? And knowing is savings. I'm kind of dating myself here, NBC, CBS, whatever it was. They had a saying that knowledge is power. Well, knowing what's going on in your bath is obviously talking about saving money. That's what it comes down to. So to start out, I thought I would just kind of talk about what makes up a wash bath, right? And I know a lot of people know this, but it's critical, right? So of course you've got water. Water is the main entity that's going to make up an aqueous wash bath. And you've got chemistry that you will add to that water. You have to consider labor costing. Labor costing is very, very important because we talk about the amount of man hours and, more importantly, the downtime when the actual bath has to be changed out, right? And then you may have some type of additive, whether it's a corrosion protectant or some type of defoamer into your process. Where is the money spent? That's the most important thing we're going to talk about today. So you have the start of your process. And the start of your process is filling the tank to the correct concentration. It's the size of the tank. And that equals the money spent to fill it, right? Then you have the maintenance of that tank, the maintenance of the wash bath itself, the additions of water and the additions of chemistry, making sure that we keep that cleaning efficacy up, that you're getting clean parts while that machine is in operation. And then we have to think about the change out. And the change out is the removal of the wash solution. It's not only the implementation, it's not only the draining, it's also the cleaning of the tank. That's all the man hours that we're talking about. So I like to consider three basic bath life conditions. The BLN, which is the bath life normal. This is the lowest effective concentration used with tight control. Everything we talk about is keeping tight control, plus and minuses on concentration. The issue with the BLN is that the soil loading will reach a critical level much faster because your chemical concentration is quite low. It's on the lowest side that we can get. We then move up to the bath life optimal, okay? That's a higher wash concentration. Again, tight control. So we're moving from a 6 to an 8 to 10, somewhere in there. Now, what this does is it gives you more ability. It extends that time, if you will, to reach critical soil loading levels. So you buy more life out of your bath. And then, of course, we've got the BLBC. And that's the bath life best case. This is the optimal chemistry concentration is being used. A little bit higher concentration in chemistry, but what that does in turn is it really optimizes the amount of soils that you're going to be able to hold in that bath, which is going to extend the life of that bath as much as possible. Well, why do we care? Well, in the BLN, it's a low initial fill cost, and we're talking about 6 to 8% concentration. The time to fill it's going to be the same, right? Because you have the amount of water, you have the amount of chemistry, and you have the amount of time to fill. They're all going to be the same. But what changes with the BLN is the low bath life expectancy, the efficacy, if you will. You're going to load that bath a lot quicker. With a BLO, you're going to have a higher initial fill cost, and we're talking about 8 to 10% concentration. The time to fill, the labor hours and the water hours, they're going to be exactly the same, but you're going to get an extended life efficacy, a cleaning, if you will, of your parts for the life of the bath. If we go into that last step, which is the BLBC, which is the best case concentration for us, we're only talking about 11 to 14 plus or minus a couple of percent. And the time to fill is going to be the same, but now your soil load time is managed. That means you know exactly how many parts or how much life you'll get, the expectancy, if you will, out of that bath. What does all this mean? All this means is time is money. And we like to focus on this because if your machine is down, you're not cleaning any parts, you're not making money. Parts are not going out the door. And we all know manufacture, clean, box, get them out the door. That's where the money is made. So when we look at examples that we tend to go towards, we look at the labor hours, right? The labor hours to remove, to fill the tank, they're all equal. So regardless of concentration, the labor is equal. What makes a difference is how many changes per month or even per year that you do on that bath, right? So if you perform one change every week, so you're getting 4 days out of your current chemistry, you're doing 50 changes in a year. That's a lot of changes. If we can manipulate that, change that by a simple addition of a little more chemistry and manage that soil load, we can change that up to 12 change outs a year. And that's a tremendous savings, and the machine is in operation longer. So let's work it all out. So all things considered equal. Water costs, I just put $1. I don't know what you actually pay for your water, but let's just keep it simple. Water cost is going to be about $1 a gallon. Chemistry cost is $5 a gallon for a lot of these type of applications that we're talking about. And labor cost shop rate being simply $100 per hour, okay? If you're changing out once a week a 250-gallon washer at 6% concentration, your labor cost, it's going to be a standard fee, $200. Let's say it takes 2 hours to do it. The water costing $235. It's a 250-gallon tank. The chemistry at 15 gallons is going to be $75. That means the total change-out cost at a 6% concentration once a week is going to be $510. Right? That calculates over the year to $25,500. Now let's make one simple change, and we always change one thing at a time. Let's make one simple change and go to once a month changes in that same 250-gallon washer. Let's make it 12% concentration, doubling the concentration, extending the soil life, cleaning efficacy. Labor costing is the same. Water cost goes down slightly, of course, because we're putting in more chemistry. So we're going to put 30 gallons of chemistry in, which is about $150. The change out cost actually goes up from $510 to $570. But look at that next line. The total of 12 change outs in 1 year equates to $6,840. That is a total cost savings of $18,660. That's a lot of money. Now, don't forget, that's a lot of money, not only on the change out side, on the bath side. That's also a lot more production. And that's what this is really all about. This is keeping that bath working, keeping those parts running through that, getting that clean that you expect to get out of it, and still getting that product shipped out to your customers. So what do I look for? What do we look for? Color. What do you see that's actually going on? Well, color is not always what it seems. A dark bath does not mean it's a spent bath. It makes it slightly harder to do a titration reading on, but you have diluting characteristics and all those. So don't make the assumption that just because it's dark, it's a bad bath. Not always. If you see a lot of oil on the surface, now don't forget, KYZEN Chemistries on the aqueous side, we're oil splitters, right? So we're going to take that oil, not emulsify it, which means we put it into one mixture. We're going to split it. We're going to separate it off, right? So you have to make sure that your oil skimmer is working correctly. Now, whether that's a belt or a disc or a coalescer, it doesn't make any difference. A lot of the time I'll see a belt out there and the blade won't quite be touching the belt. The blade has to be touching the belt to skim, to remove all of that oil. As you see in this picture right here, you see the oils coming down off of the chute and going into waste water, waste holdage, if you will. Get into a routine, right? Log the details of what you're trying to do. I suggest always putting a chart together as to say, hey, this is when we did this. This is when we took a sample. This is when we changed out. This is how many parts have gone through. Once you do that, you're starting to build a cleaning process. You're starting to understand what's going on inside your wash tank itself. And then don't forget filtration. Types of filtration is very, very important, and what kind of filtration that you're using is important when it comes to one of these whole processes that we're trying to formulate for you. In the bath life checklist, you got to check concentration. We talk about, in the earlier slides, we talked about keeping tight control over concentration. How do we do that? Simply, we do it by conductivity. Simple, dip a meter into the wash solution itself, match that up to a chart, and then that chart will tell you what your concentration is based on your conductivity. Titration, don't be afraid of it. Taking a sample, adding some solution, counting the number of drops. The number of drops equals the concentration inside the tank. And then we have automation. We have actually devices that will help you add chemistry or add chemistry and water, if you will, at the same time so you can manage that concentration. Collect bath samples. Build that profile. I cannot stress that enough. How do you do that? KYZEN has kits. We have simple kits, six bottles, if you will, that come to a kit. Take a sample when you fill the bath. That gives us a control. So we know what we're matching against. Every 50 parts or every week, take another sample and get yourself 4 or 5 samples and then get them tested. You know, once you understand what's going on inside your bath versus the amount of time versus the amount of parts, you can start really building a process for yourself. Knowledge is power. I go back to it a lot. All of my customers, my prospects understand that. Chemistry has a cost, but it's not what you think it is. It's the labor time, it's the downtime, it's the water time, and then the chemistry on top of that. It's all those other things that factor into the cost of your bath life. It's the life of the chemistry that you need to concentrate on. And if I can stress anything, that's the biggest point of this presentation today, the life of the chemistry. Let's extend your bath life out from 4 days and get it into that 18, 19 workable days and get your parts back out the door. I have a few frequently asked questions. Does the color of the wash tank solution matter when it comes to cleanliness? It does, but it's not the number one deciding factor. We look for a lot of different things before we look at color. Color is just kind of an inconvenience. Don't forget, when we're talking about remanufacturing and other type of cleaning processes, we're taking out some very nasty, we're taking out carbonaceous soils and oils and that kind of stuff. That's got to go somewhere. It goes into the solution itself. It's more about the filtration. Do you have any suggestions on when and how to check the quality of the wash solution? Yeah, absolutely. Use your concentration, use your conductivity, use your titration, use a service like KYZEN where we can actually take that solution and break it down chemically and see what's there. What are we still working with? What's the typical life expectation of my bath? Boy, that's a tough one to answer. It really is, because it all depends what you're putting through. If you're cleaning little tiny stainless parts and you're just removing some light cutting oils, you're going to get really good life expectancy. If you're cleaning hard carbonaceous heads off an old used engine, yeah, the chemistry's going to have to work harder. Therefore, the life may go down. But that's the goal of this, is to really build a profile and get that life extended. What type of filtration should I be considering when I purchase a new machine or a used machine for that matter? A couple of different kinds of filtration, 3-inch canisters, 10, 20, 30 inches long, depth filters or pleated filters. Depth filters just allow larger particles to go through and they get smaller as you get in the depth of the filter. A pleated cartridge filter is simply the same micron throughout the whole pleat itself. And then a bag filter. Bag filter is what I recommend. They have a lot more dirt holding capacity. You feed in through the top, the bag catches everything, goes out through the bottom. Don't forget to mark your gauges. 15 psi differential pressure tells you when it's time to change out that bag. So with that, I think I've reached my time. I appreciate your time on being on here and listening to some of this topic about bath life. And I'll turn it back over to William.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you guys for watching this Tech to Tech session. If you would like to discuss this topic further or have any questions not answered in this session, please contact your local KYZEN regional manager or send an email to tech@kyzen.com, and we will have someone follow up with you as soon as possible. And if you like this video, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms for more expert cleaning content.